Hey, good morning, it's Max McAllister from Traction Dynamics. Wanted to kind of do a video to demonstrate more clearly when I say that the springs on the new 2018 Goldwing are extremely soft in my opinion, what that really means. So most owners really love the plush compliant ride of the new suspension on the 2018 Goldwing, and I'm convinced it can we already know that we can maintain that plush compliant ride, but still help the bike stay ride higher in its travel without bottoming. Now, as frequently or as easily. Now, there's people that say, I've ridden my bike, 2,000 miles or 3,000 miles. I've never felt it bottom. It's actually designed that way. You're not supposed to feel it bottom, but that doesn't mean it's not bottoming. So I'm going to show you that your Goldwing absolutely, positively bottoms all the time, whether you know it or not. And very simply, we're going to do that just in a very simple way. So, using a extremely high-tech data acquisition device that we acquired. It's a very secret weapon here we have. It's called a zip tie. These are shocks off of a 2018. I'm going to put zip ties on the 2018 shocks. This is used as a travel indicator in a million instances. Road racers use this and such. It's a very inexpensive way to quickly figure out how often or how easily you use all of the travel on your bike. This is a rear shock, and on the bike I've installed these on. I've left these tails hanging so we can see them. Now, it's been explained by Honda in more than one place that the really long bumper on the front shock, they've made it long because they intended for it to act as part of the spring rate of the suspension of the bike. That's their explanation. Okay, I've demonstrated in another video that basically all you have to do is sit on the bike and the shock will come down and virtually sit on the bumper. I don't think that's good. They do not have that same design on the rear shock. This is the rear shock. It has a normal, what I would call a normal bumper on it, and it does not take 50% of the travel like this bumper does. This takes about 60% of the travel. This one's about 30. So anyway, when a shock compresses, this zip tie will simply move down, be pushed down, into the bumper. And that's just inside of this bumper actually is the bottom of the shock. There's a nut, I'll show you right here. So that nut is the mechanical bottom. When this dust cover here basically hits that, it will crush the foam, hit that, that's a bottom. Now, you really won't feel that as a rule. Almost it's designed not to. This foam is extremely stiff. But what I want to demonstrate is that people who think their bike isn't bottoming just don't understand that it is bottoming, right? So what we have out here is a 2018 tour model DCT. By the way, I love the colors of this bike. Come on around here. And let me stay here. I'm going to grab a flashlight. And I put a zip tie on the front and rear shock. And let me see. I'm gonna grab the camera. I'll put it in there. See, you can see the zip tie right there. I've got it pushed up against the dust seal. There's the tail of the zip tie sticking out. Here on the rear shock, you see the tail of the zip tie sticking out. I've got the zip tie pinned up against the dust seal. So, real quickly, let's just see what happens. This bike is completely empty, just for purposes of conversation. There's nothing in any saddlebags. I'm 160 pounds. I have no gear on. This shock is the manual adjuster. It's set to the center of its range. I'm just gonna pick the bike up and sit on it. That's all I've done. Let's see what happens. Zip tie is all the way against the bumper. All I did was sit on the bike. I haven't even started it yet. If you can look in here, all I did was sit on the bike. The zip tie is 50% of the way down the shaft, the chrome shaft of the shock. All I've done is sit on the bike. Now we're going to start it and go for a ride. I'm going to simulate leaving the driveway of my house. All I've done at this point is leave the driveway of my house. Now the zip tie is being pushed into the foam on the front. Here in the back, the zip tie is now down right at the foam. It's not been pushed into the foam, but it's just above it slightly. So there's still about 4 millimeters of shock shaft left. So now we're just gonna go pretend I took a little ride. All right. Now you can see that the zip tie is pushed in, the tail is sticking up on the front. Zip tie is now down and buried in the foam bumper. There you go. So, standard model bike, which weighs less than a tour, 160-pound rider, no gear, no passenger, no luggage, no nothing. Total elapsed mileage, 0.05 of a mile. And I've bottomed out both ends of the suspension by doing nothing more than leaving my driveway and taking a quick spin around through a parking lot. So, if you don't, your bike is this way, whether you know it or not. Sorry to tell you, but stiffer springs will be of a benefit to you. I don't care what you weigh or what you're doing. The bike will be improved, and more damping control will be of benefit to you. You know, don't care what you are or what you're doing, right? This will, you can dramatically improve the suspension of the bike. So if you're happy with it at the moment, you really need to do yourself a favor and test drive a bike with an aftermarket suspension system on it to know what's possible. We'll have our bike at Wingding this year if anybody's coming to attend Wingding in Knoxville, and it'll be available for test rides. So if you've never ridden a bike with an aftermarket suspension, that'll be an opportunity. Or see if you can find a friend who's out there who's had their suspension upgraded by us and hop on their bike and just go around the block and see for yourself. So anyway, that's what I wanted to show you for today. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.